Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Unity Through Cinema podcast. It has been a minute since the last one. Life happens, but oh well, time to resume with episodes. Today, I am joined by the fabulous Kevin Gadzalinski, and I hope I pronounced your last name right.
You
Please say yes.
did. Very impressive.
Thank
Yes.
Yes. I try to get names right. I often fuck up, as I did in episode 2. I asked my guest beforehand, how do I pronounce her first name? And she said it and I heard it, and then I got so caught up in my nerves and just chatting with her. As soon as I introduced her, I went, "Oh my god, I said it wrong."
Oh
And I
gosh.
just asked. I felt terrible in that moment. I'm like, I want to go
Wow.
die
Yeah.
now, but yes.
It's like we reverse. Yeah. You got it this time. So good.
Or one for me. So, thank you so much for agreeing to be a guest on my podcast for today.
Yeah. No problem. This is going to be fun.
Now, if this was anybody else, I would ask first if you celebrate Christmas, but I see your social media, so I'm just going to ask instead, are you feeling festive yet?
Yeah, the whole basement is crazy decorated. But we usually have every room decorated and every room is themed with different colors and stuff. So
Oh,
uh one year we had Christmas, we usually have a Christmas party, and the 25th Christmas party we had 25 trees throughout the house.
let me guess. They were all plastic trees, right?
Yeah, none of them are real. No, we don't do real trees, but 25 plastic trees that looked really good.
In my house growing up, even to this day, we've only ever had real trees. We
Okay.
my family, it's practically like religion. We don't believe in plastic trees.
Mm.
We're the religion of the real tree. And
Sure.
my sister does the same thing, only she went a little over the top because she has more money. So she buys these like 12-foot Christmas trees, and you walk in and it's just like,
Giant.
oh, hello, okay. Her decorating skills could use some work though.
Oh,
She
man.
doesn't have my flair. Just saying.
Yeah, I've never had a real tree in my life, so I
Gosh,
know
how do you
it's
live?
crazy. Yeah, I don't know.
I can't. We probably won't get one this year because we just, financially speaking, can't afford it. But it just doesn't feel like Christmas for me unless I walk into the house and I smell that pine. I'm like, ah, yeah, that's the
You don't
smell
have
of
the nice
Christmas.
fake spray that we put on?
Yeah,
You
that
have the
would be
good
like,
vibes.
Christmas with a hint of chemical.
You're right. Oh,
Or we
good
could just
stuff.
put up
But
like
yeah, it is. It's
those
true.
pine car air fresheners around
The
the
air freshener. Hey, that's your ornaments.
house. Well, I mean, there we go. Now people probably, anybody who follows you or follows me or mutually follows us both, would probably expect me to open up with some charmed questions, despite the fact that both of our backgrounds consist of charmed merchandise right now. Huh.
You know,
We may have a little obsession, but don't
maybe just a little,
don't
just
go
a
there,
tad.
girlfriend. But no, I would like to start with talking about you, Kevin, the person. And one of the things I want to go with, from what I have observed, you do theater, you do modeling, you do cosplay. But which one did you start with and why?
Started with theater. That was probably the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the first play I ever, well, when I was like really young, I was watching like, musicals like The Sound of Music and The Wizard of Oz, and I was like enamored with them. So I definitely had something in me then. And then when I first saw my first live show, I was like, ooh, I want to do this. uh, so that's what kind of sparked it all. And then I didn't really get a chance to do it until high school, really actually be in a show.
So, what was the first live production you actually remember seeing?
I think it was Annie.
Okay.
I was probably about 5, and I don't really remember the show too well, but I remember the lobby.
Remember the
I remember
lobby.
just like, look at all these headshots, these black and white headshots. This is cool. Uh,
Oh, the silly things that we remember as a child. I love it that you go and see something that is live on stage as color and costumes and music, and you walk away with, I remember the lobby.
right.
Oh, the informative years. I saw the other day, now I don't know the story behind this, but a picture's worth 1,000 words, and I would like those 1,000 words. You attended the theater school with Trixie Mattel.
Yes, I did. It was just college, just a typical college.
Yeah,
But
I'm assuming you didn't at any point look over and go, you're going to be a drag superstar one day.
I don't think I didn't know, because he certainly didn't know at that point either. It was like, it was close to but like, because went to school together, we acted in a show together at the Normal Heart.
Okay.
And we also worked in the mall together at the same time. He worked at Mac, the makeup place, and I worked at Mrs. Fields, the cookie place. And he would always come over for cookies. I give them for free.
And you didn't go
and yeah,
over for
it
any
was
free makeup products?
no, I didn't.
Oh, darn.
I'm like, I don't know makeup, but
At least get a
I
nice
would I
lip
would visit him, and he's
gloss
always
or a face cream or
Mhm.
something. Toner or something.
I could have used some expertise, I suppose. Uh, but yeah, and
I
he's a cool dude.
and no offense to Trixie Mattel, who I do absolutely love. Don't know if that's the person I'd want to go to for makeup advice, since he, as he says, pays for the back
True.
row.
It's the clown aesthetic.
That's pretty much going from 0 to 1,000,000. So you got to start with
True.
the baby steps before you work your way up to complete silicone Barbie doll.
Yeah.
Which
And he was actually visiting Milwaukee a few weeks ago. He came over and we hung out, had a little evening together. So it's great. It's always nice to
oh,
reconnect every once in a while. He just bought a house for his mom, 10 minutes away from me, and then he bought himself a house in Milwaukee as well. So he has two. He'll always be coming back to home.
well, someone's got coin, but I love that he's using his money to support his mother. That's lovely.
It's really nice. Yeah.
And why have I not seen you on Trixie's YouTube channel doing a Trixie makeover? Like, I need that in my
That's
life.
true. That's true. I mean, I've been on James Mansfield's channel because he lives not too far from me either. I've known him since he was 8.
That's
Uh,
right. He's from Milwaukee too.
mhm.
Oh, look,
So it's
look
kind of
at you,
crazy.
friends with all the drag queens.
Jada, I don't know though. And it's funny because I guess she lives really close to me, but I don't know her. So I was like, I missed out on that one.
Well, on the subject of Drag Race has given a large platform and voice to the LGBTQ plus community, but at least I feel it's also revealed a lot of prejudice within the community. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it does kind of create kind of a hostile environment in a lot of ways. They're always, fighting with each other.
Little bit, little bit.
Yeah, I know. I mean, part of it's probably the editing and everything, but it's almost
Hmm.
like they're trying to instigate some of these little tips here and there. So
Do you think that there's a kind of despite the fact that it's really, like I said, given a voice to the LGBTQ plus community, but do you think at the same time it's a bit more of a narrowed voice? Because it seems when I'm watching, for example, every other drag race from all these other countries, they seem a lot more progressive and inclusive with their casting as opposed to the American drag race.
yeah, I've always been a little, because I haven't seen any of the other ones. I
Hmm.
haven't seen the other countries. I've always been meaning to, and I keep hearing good things from you.
Girl.
um, so it's nice that. somewhere, someplace, there's some inclusivity and connection. uh I don't know, I think maybe Americans just like that drama, I don't know. But
Well, that that does sound pretty accurate. For example, I mean, uh, we've had a couple of trans people on Drag Race, but most of them were not transitioning until after they were on the show. And it's often, and RuPaul has controversially said that he would not have a trans woman on the show because it's about female impersonation and that's not fair.
mhm.
But then, of course, RuPaul has also made the argument that drag is not female illusion, it's something completely otherworldly. So it's kind of, he did dig himself a bit of a hole on that one, and then he tried to make up for it by having Sonique come into the Christmas special, and Gia Gunn being back
Yeah.
on All Stars, and things like that. Whereas we go over to Drag Race Thailand. Drag Race Thailand for season 2 had their first trans winner, who was completely transitioned trans and looked absolutely stunning, by the
Mm.
way. And final performance brought me to bloody tears. On top of that, I've never really, I don't know if any of them just haven't been open about it, but I've yet to come across, to my knowledge, people can correct me if I'm wrong, a competitor on American Drag Race who was bisexual. However, they did have an openly bisexual character on Drag Race UK.
Oh,
Yeah,
I did
they
not know that. That's kind of exciting.
he came on and they were asking questions, and he said that he'd only been doing drag for like a few weeks, and they're like, okay, wow. And they said, what did he's like, oh, my girlfriend. Like, wait, what? They were all so stunned and shocked, and he's like, well, yeah, I'm bisexual, but I'm currently dating a girl and she's really into it and all this stuff, and she really encouraged me to do that.
That's super cool. Oh.
It was the first time I'd seen, or at least been very seemed to acknowledge a bisexual competitor, to say, and who was at the time dating a woman. I was just like, look at you go, Drag Race UK. But we don't seem to have reached that level in America, the one that
Yeah,
started it.
the one that I want them, yeah.
Yeah, why do
Oh,
you think
I
that
don't
is, that they're kind of stuck with you? We can kind of really only have gay men and pre-transition trans women.
right. And I don't know. I don't know if they're just trying to make it the most sellable they can, or the most,
Mhm,
I don't, that's really crazy. I don't really know the answer to that one. It's unfortunate,
mhm.
uh, because, representation matters, and
They do
the
indeed.
more, more walks of life, the more perspectives you put in there,
Mhm.
uh, the richer, the world will be. But yeah, that's I just think maybe people are still scared of venturing out of what's known to be accepted.
Yeah.
So
It
crazy.
it is interesting because this show, this platform is considered like the beacon of the community, and it's just like it seems to only want to focus on the G in the LGBTQ plus. But moving over to the B, being that you are openly and proudly bi, do you experience more negative responses from within or outside of the community? Because I've seen some of those comments that you get.
Yeah, yeah. um, it's strange because I think most of the backlash I've had was from within. There are a lot
Mhm.
of gay men that just couldn't wrap their head around it, and it's always baffling when that happens, because you're like, of all people that should understand, it should be you.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's it used to hurt. The first couple times it hurt a lot. I was really, really like broken up by it.
Mhm.
But then, you get to the point where it's just like, it's not worth it. Just cut them out of your life and move on. Uh, so, and like, the recent years, more recently, I haven't had too many issues, maybe because those people don't interact with me as much, or I don't get into it. But lately it's been good. People have been very respectful and supportive, and so I've been happy.
Well, I'm very
I've had a lot of
glad.
people message me and were very moved by my openness because they're experiencing similar things, and
Hmm.
it's just nice to have somebody to look at and uh, admire their openness. So it was nice to be able to help people come to terms with themselves and show them that they're not alone.
I love that. I love you using your platform for good. I actually feel that the same has been true of me, that the times that I have opened up about my sexuality, I kind of first tried talking with it with my gay friends, and I did not get the warm welcome and congratulations that I was hoping for. I kind of got a lot of uh looking down upon me and being like, why does everybody need these labels, what is all that? So, or
Mm,
people trying to tell me when I try to say what I am, and they say, well, what does that mean? And I explained, so they're like, so you're bi? And I said, if I was bi, I would have said I was
I would
bi.
say it.
And I'm like, I'm not bi. And they're like, well, it sounds like bi to me. And I'm like, oh, thank you for trying to explain to me my own sexuality. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Exactly.
That's
It's
so
like, oh,
nice.
apparently you know me better than me. Okay, great.
and and it is that. And yet when I've talked about it with my straight friends, and they're like, they've never heard the term omnisexual before, and so they're like, I'm sorry, I guess I'm ignorant, can you explain it to me? I'm like, that's not ignorant, it's not a common term, a lot of people don't know about it. And I said, yes. So I'll explain it to them, like, oh, okay. And I kind of love that I get such a nice response to the straight people. It makes me laugh because they're like, so basically, it's like an open buffet for you. I'm like, I'm like, I'm like, yeah, pretty much. And they're like, that's pretty cool. I like that. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I love that visual painting.
Yeah.
I love that. Whereas opposed to, it's funny that one of the things that gay people, lesbians, trans people deal with a lot is when they come out to someone, usually straight people, and a straight person might say, it's just a phase, it's not a real thing, or it's like, well, you just think you're gay, but you're not actually not. It's like, oh, thank you for trying to explain myself. And then they turn around and we'll do the same thing. So if you're bi, you're just confused. What is one of the most
Exactly.
the common one? What's the most common thing that I've heard when it comes to bi people? That
Uh,
it's just saying that uh
greedy.
bi greedy is definitely one, but it bi is just the stepping stone to gay.
Hmm.
That one where it's just, you just
Yeah.
haven't completely committed yet, but they don't understand that there isn't going to be a committing to gay. It's, I like men and women. It's really
Right.
all that it is. I think that's what gets to me. It's that, and it goes for me when I witness people who have been victims of racism also um be racist. And I'm just like, how can you participate in a prejudice when you are a victim of prejudice? And the only thing I can come up with is that these people are so insecure and deal with so much hate being thrown at them that it's kind of all they can do is like pass it on to the next person to make themselves feel. But then we
Yeah.
just create that cycle of abuse, and it's not
Circle.
nice for
Never ending
anyone.
circle. Oof.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I like how open you are about your bisexuality. And I know we did originally plan to do this podcast during Bisexual Awareness Month. Um
Right.
oh well. Why can't that
Things
just be
happen.
any day of the week?
That's true. Right. I mean, it's always good to make awareness happen, and every
Mhm.
day of the year. So,
Yeah, it's the fact that people say, "Oh, why do gay people need a parade? Why do they need this?" It's like Because people are still fighting a constant battle here. That's why.
Yeah, it's the same idea with the Black Lives Matter. It's exactly, we need to have a hyper focus on it so that people can actually see what's happening,
Mhm.
and make the issues become aware. So
That is true, and it's it it feels like with each year we get a little bit further, and then sometimes something will happen. It's like, okay, we just took 5 steps back. Gotta. It's did you ever watch Smash?
yes, I love Smash. I mean, the theater person in me is like, yeah, Smash is good.
I was gonna be like, if he says no, I question his love of theater. But that song, the song Megan Hilty sings, "Just Keep Moving the Line." It's true of everyone and everything in everyday
Yeah.
life. It's like you get this benchmark and you think that, yes, I've reached it. And it's like, oh nope, they moved it a little further,
Yep.
and that's for everyone. That pretty much is like everybody. That should be everybody's anthem. Like, if nobody has gone and listened to it, go and
True.
listen to it on YouTube right now. It's great, as are pretty
So
much all
good.
the songs from Smash. It's just a strange thing that I'm trying to wrap my head around, because you're very open and proud, and I absolutely admire that for you, because that should be how people live. Like, I
Right.
haven't seen The Happiest Season yet, and I do plan to watch it, but already my con just seeing the trailers is like, why is it whenever we have a film about someone who's gay or trans or anything like that, why is the story about them coming out? Why
Yeah.
is it always that part? Can't we get past that part
It should be what
already?
happens after. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I would love a Christmas movie and it's like the gay couple with the 2 kids are hosting the Christmas this year, but they're the
This is
normal
my
ones,
life.
and
Yeah.
it's their straight family who are the dysfunctional fuck ups. Like, can we
Right.
get that story, please? You know,
Please and thank you. Yes.
yeah, so I know everybody's like happy, and it's great that we are seeing more LGBTQ plus characters in things like Christmas movies now, where that wasn't considered like appropriate at all, because Christmas is for the straight people. And now we are, so that's great. But we still, I don't feel, have gotten past the hurdle of, we're going to tell another coming out of the closet story. It's like,
It's a
yay.
goodie.
Am I the only person exhausted by these?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm just like, yeah, because I see it all the time. Uh, yeah. They maybe if they did more bisexual coming out stories, that might be a little bit different, because it's because I haven't seen that very often.
Have you seen yourself accurately portrayed in cinema yet, or anything that's come close?
Maybe because I'm kind of a big geeky dorky kind of a guy. Maybe a little bit of Daryl Whitefeather in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Do you
Okay.
know that show?
I've not watched it,
Crazy.
but I have heard of it.
He's just okay. Because he has a whole song called "Getting By," where he comes out as bisexual, and he's like, "Yeah, it's my song." And it's really great. He's just really wacky about it. And it's a lot of fun. It's like my favorite anthem now. So if you like your theater shows, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is a good one to check out.
Well,
Uh,
it's never been sold to me that way, so now I may have to check it out. But as for
yeah,
the big screen, nothing where it you feel like, oh look, there's a
no,
bisexual character or a bisexual lead, or even like a co-star. Because I'm trying to think of one and I'm kind of coming up blank.
right, right. I can't. Yeah, a lot. There's sometimes it's implied, but there's nothing that's ever actually like somebody living their truth and being happy and open about it. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's something we need.
Yeah, that's something I often tackle on this podcast, is talking to people about, do they feel represented in cinema. And with the first episode, I talked to my friend Colby, and he was talking about how often we watch. We still don't have a lot of black talent behind the camera. And if anybody want to criticize me for saying the word black, it's because not everybody is American and African. So there's that. I did actually have a friend.
Right.
I'm interjecting myself here, but I had a friend, and this girl came up to me, and she was like, "Oh, I love that guy Chris," and there were two Chris's because it was a party, and I'm like, "Which Chris?" And she goes, "Oh, the African American one." I'm like, you can just say black, and she says, "No, the correct term is
Right.
African American." I said, "Except for the part where he's Australian and Jamaican." So, and she says,
Yeah.
she's like, "No, the correct term for calling a black person is African American." I'm like, "But he's neither of those things."
Right.
I'm like,
hello.
like, why
Too
would I call
funny.
him African American if he's neither of those things? You know, there are black people who
Wow.
don't just come from Africa or America. And I thought that was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. And I actually went and told him, and he fell on the floor laughing. He's like, "Did she really say that?" And I said, "Yeah, he did." And he's like, "Didn't you?" And his actual words were, he's like, "Why didn't she just say the black one? Because one was black, one was white." And I'm like, "She was trying not to be
Right.
offensive." And he's like, "Well, I appreciate her attempts to not be offensive, but she just proved what an idiot she is anyway." So,
Right.
I'm just like, you could have even said the tall one because he was tall and the
Right.
other guy was short. I'm like, you still went with the color option anyway. But it was just a funny thing that I remember. And it's funny because I still have American people who still like, "It's an African American." I'm like, not everybody's African American.
Right.
Especially I'm not going to be calling, I live in Australia, so I'm not going to go around calling every black person African American. I'd look like a fucking dumbass. And they'd be like,
Right.
"Is she American? Does she know she's in Australia?" And I'd be like, I do, I'm sorry. But yeah,
See, here
so
it's not as big as the issue because most people are American, so it makes sense. But
yeah, well, there you go. But
crazy.
yeah, and we were talking about that lack of having black creators behind the camera, and while we're getting more in front of the camera, and they're slowly breaking away from portraying stereotypes, which is of no fault of their own, of course, because yay, white Hollywood. um you know, representation, as you said, it matters, and it's still something that people are striving for. And then when I talked to who I like to now consider my friend, Bryony, I'm pretty sure it's Bryony. But when I was talking to her, and we were talking about the accurate portrayal of autistic people in cinema, and now Sia's got her little issue that has, hit the waves, and she's gone and pissed off the entire autistic community. Well done, Sia. And people were saying neurotypical people are saying that autistic people are upset because she didn't cast an autistic actor to play an autistic character. From what I've heard, that is not their complaint. It's the fact that the character has been written and portrayed as an offensive stereotype of autism, and that everything in the film is actually a trigger for autistic people. So, like, no autistic person is probably going to go and see this because the color and the sound will be triggering for them. So they'd now have to avoid it. So it's like when she's all like, "Yeah, we're giving a voice to autistic people." It's like, but did you actually talk to one? It's like, so while I have people going, "We're okay with a neurotypical person playing someone who's autistic, just please portray it authentically, accurately, show us for what we really are." And that comes back to the LGBTQ plus community, where it's still like, yay, we're slowly breaking out of, showing every gay person on screen as, someone who's overly flamboyant and walks around in short shorts and fishnet tights all the time. Thank you for breaking out of that. And we're also breaking away from always showing lesbians wearing flannel and having buzz cuts. Like, yes,
Right.
they have variety as well. But we still haven't, trans people, yep, doing a bit better. but we still don't really have much else. I feel like television is more progressive in that than film is so far.
True.
Television is a bit more willing to depict these things. The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina has someone who's pansexual. I was like, yeah, we have a character who's trans, played by
Did
a
you see the
non-binary actor. So
right? Yeah. Did you see the new Craft movie, The Craft Legacy?
I haven't. I don't really want to, but I know that I'm gonna have to at some point.
I know, I know. There definitely has its flaws. I'll tell you that much. But there was some really good there's some really good bi representation in that. There was
Okay.
a male character that was supposed to be kind of like the Skeet Ulrich character, like the boyfriendy kind of guy, but he had a really nice bisexual moment. I'm like, that was really nice. So I did appreciate that in the new one.
And I know we have a trans actress in that
Yes,
film, so
as well.
that's great. So I guess good. We got a couple little ticks there, but the road is long. It's
That's
very,
true.
very long, and you know, I never hear anyone talk about omnisexuals up until a couple years ago. I didn't
Right.
even know that that was a term that existed. I spent a lot of my time always saying to people, I'm straight, I'm straight, I'm straight, because it was just so much easier of trying to like break down and explain how I feel sexually. I'm like, I'll just say I'm straight. It's just fucking easier. And then I
Right.
got to a point where I just didn't like saying that word anymore because it just didn't feel accurate to me, but I didn't know what else to say. And then I tried to talk to a friend of mine who um, I say was, not because he was bisexual, but because he's not my friend anymore. Uh,
No.
and I was trying to explain it to him, and he's like, okay, so you're bi. And I said, no, I'm not bi. It's more than that. And he goes, okay, so you're pansexual. I'm like, oh, I said, maybe.
Closer, but not quite.
I said, there's something about that that just doesn't feel like me. And then one day I was just kind of perusing the internet, and I was just like having that like trying to like figure out what the fuck am I like moment. And then when I was trying to like really look into the term pansexual and what it means and everything I was reading and people talking about themselves, I'm like, that just doesn't describe me. And then I suddenly happen to go to one site and it says pansexual versus omnisexual. I'm like, what is this word? And then I saw everything explain what it was. I'm like, that
It's like,
right there.
yay!
I'm like, oh my God, there's a word that describes me. I honestly felt so elated and like a weight was
Exactly.
lifted off me. Now I am one of the people who believes that people obsess too much over titles.
Sure.
Everybody kind of puts themselves in a box instead of like being like, la la la, let's all just come together, kumbaya, la 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 la. But I do understand the importance of those labels, that because it's that feeling of what I am is real, I exist, and I have a place.
Exactly.
Now, having gone
This
through that
liberating feeling that
myself,
feels like home.
yeah,
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
that comforting feeling. And nevertheless, while I'm having this conversation with you and my mother is on the other end of the house, my mother does not know that about my sexuality, and I never plan to tell her either, because I'm not going through that.
Yeah.
And I can't tell my brother either, and he is gay.
Right. Right.
And
It's
that's
crazy. But we gotta do with
that's
I was
for
just gonna say, like, we gotta do with what we gotta do. Go ahead.
yeah, it's true. That's where for me I first learned about prejudice within the community, because when I was younger, I was doing a jigsaw with my brother. I was in high school, so well, younger than I am now. And we were just having a couple of drinks. Yes, I was underage, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And we were having fun, and I don't know how we got on the topic, and I just said, and I had this moment where I realized I'd kissed more girls than I had guys. And I said that to him, and he was a bit pissed at the time. And by pissed, I mean drunk. Um, And he went off and he's like, if you turn around in a few years and tell me you're a lesbian, I'll fucking disown you. I went, oh, okay. Well, that's lovely. I'm like, well, I'm not. I'm not. So that's fine. He's like, good, you better not be. Because my brother doesn't like lesbians. Don't ask me what that's about. I
Sure.
asked him once and his
Okay.
response was, because there's nothing in it for me.
Oh gosh.
I
But you think of like during the AIDS epidemic or whatever pandemic,
Mhm.
so many lesbians were helping the gay men that were sick. It's like, we're all one. It's crazy.
I don't get it. And my brother and mother are both these people who don't understand all these new modern labels and terminology, and for them they think it's people wanting attention or all this stuff, and I just kind of have
Attention.
to sit there and grit my teeth because I'm just like, you don't fucking get
Hmm.
it. And they'll say something and someone's and they're like, oh, someone's non-binary. My mom's like, what the fuck is with these words? And it's like, you all need to just get over yourself. And I'm like, why does it matter to you? It doesn't affect you. If that makes somebody else feel better, let them have it. And she's like, well, I don't
Yeah.
like it. I'm like, it's still not your goddamn business. And so I'm getting really heated, and then it kind of turns into a fight. And I don't think she understands why I'm so heated. Like, she calls it
Yeah.
me getting on my soapbox, and I'm like, yeah, but it's a personal soapbox this time. So
Yeah, because I do understand, people can be overly sensitive sometimes, but it's also, there's a time and a place where they need to be addressed, and people need to have that label to feel comfortable. Because like I know when I fully realized that bisexual was the term that I felt most comfortable with, it
mhm.
was the most refreshing thing ever. You're just like, wow, I am so happy. I'm so, this is great. Uh, and then I just wanted to share that with everybody. That's what made me want to tell people and make people aware, because I feel like there's probably more people like me who could benefit from having that visibility. So,
Without a doubt, I 100% agree with that. Speaking of visibility, um, I mentioned that you do theater, but like I said, you'd also do modeling and cosplay. How did you get involved in modeling and cosplay, which in this day and age basically kind of cross over between each other?
modeling. I think I was on. I got a message somewhere. Where was it? Somewhere on social media. I don't remember which site it was, but I got a message from a photographer
Hmm.
that asked if I would model for him. I was like, oh, okay. Like I never really thought about it, but sure. And then I did, and the pictures weren't that great,
Yeah.
but they were the best I've ever had. I was like, this is exciting. Like, oh. But I made like a model mayhem profile.
What's that?
It was kind of like a social networking site for photographers and models, and you can like have a little portfolio on there, and just have messages and set up like gigs and things, and
Okay.
it was really fun. Uh, so I would post like my pictures on portfolio there, and more photographers were interested in working with me, so I started getting a nice repertoire, um, and then it just kind of evolved from there, and then I started getting uh, noticed by more uh, well-known people, more respectable or talented people, and it was just kind of kept going from there. It's been fun.
So you've been modeling for how
And
many
I do a
years
lot of
now?
my cosplay. This was, I think, 2006 is when I started
Okay.
first, and it's all kind of like freelance most of the time, but I had fun with it, I think. uh, Lots of uncomfortable positions and holding poses, and you're like, like this hurts.
No one said it was
But,
easy.
uh, and like you see the shot, you're like, ooh, that was good. I'm glad I did that. uh, and then the cosplay, I think I started in 2011, uh, and I just decided to go to my first convention and take it a little bit at a time. I went as Batman Vegeta, so I had like this big anime hair and a pink shirt that said Batman on the back, and I'm like, ooh, this is cool. Okay. uh, yeah, and and my cosplay skills got even better from there. Uh, I spent a lot of money on cosplay,
I can
but it's
imagine.
worth it because I'm all for the authentic look. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
One of the things I find really interesting that you do with cosplay, and maybe I'd seen it before, but I don't think I was aware of how much it actually happens until I saw a lot of your stuff, is the gender flipping cosplay.
Right.
How did you discover that and get involved in that? Because I mean, I'm such a purist that at first there was that one part of me that was like, no, I don't like it. But then I saw the Sailor Moon stuff. I'm like, son of a bitch, I love Sailor Moon. I'm like, fine, I like it.
Yeah. That I think was more about friends. Like there's people that I knew from who do cosplay and they wanted to do a gender band group and they kind of asked me to be a part of it.
Mhm.
And that's why I've gotten involved with those because most of the time I probably wouldn't have done gender bend because I'm just like, no, I have to be. I was like a purist too. So I'm like, but then I'm like, I guess it'll be fun, you know. And it happens a lot. There's a lot that goes on, you know. Women do male characters and men are doing female characters, and
Mhm.
there is a sense of creativity in there because you have a way to uh interpret it in a new way, which is kind of cool. You get to have a little bit of play in there, and I did have a lot of fun doing the gender bends that I did, and I'd probably do more. I probably wouldn't make a huge habit of it, but I would do them again if the right one spoke to me. uh,
I think it's
yeah,
great that it means that instead of like people only, it's like you love, for example, you love an anime and it's like you're a guy who loves Sailor Moon and it's like, oh damn, I guess I can only do Tuxedo Mask. It's like, no,
right,
you want to be a Sailor Scout, go for it. Like I love that because um there are so many things that people like to cosplay, and it does seem like women do more cosplay than men. And so I kind of like that idea. It's like, well, just because the character is male or female doesn't mean you kind of have to adhere to that. You can interpret it your own way because at
right,
the end of the day, the whole point is that you're embodying a character that you really like. So does it matter? I talked
right. And
myself around.
I'm glad. I was really giddy about our female tuxedo mask because we had all the Sailor Scouts all men, and then we had our female tuxedo mask, and she was rocking it. She had the heels on. She had her long dark hair. I'm like, this is awesome. Like I love that.
I think it's great. I've always wanted to try cosplay. I do not have the money or, in my opinion, the body to pull off some of the characters that I would like to pull off. Um, maybe one day, maybe one day
Maybe
when I'm
one
like
day.
when I'm like
Yeah.
dead and then I have my ideal figure. Maybe then. Because Sailor Moon is one of my favorite things, and I grew up. There's actually over, if you can see on my charm display, I actually have some Sailor Moon
Oh yes, Oh yes, I see
pendants.
that.
They're over
Hmm.
there. They're actually pens, but you wouldn't actually know that. I didn't know that. I'm just cool. Oh my god, I'm like Mickey, makeup palette.
Transform.
Like
Right.
I'm like I was going around and I was like showing it to my niece and she's like, "What does that mean?" And I'm like, "It means the greatest thing ever." And then I realized, "Oh my god, they're pens." I'm like, "And I'm taking them everywhere I go now." Um,
Yes.
but like the first character I ever wanted to even attempt to cosplay was Sailor Pluto. And I'm like the outer senshi are a bit underappreciated. But I just, oh god, for me, it's like the black was just so different because they're all like usually bright colors. I'm like,
Right.
oh, I love the black, and then her beautiful, luscious green hair, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
want that. I want to be that. I did
Plus
get
her
a I
her
did get
her
a
little
wig
heart
once.
staff.
Yeah, I did get a wig once, but oh my god, it was a really bad wig and I just couldn't get the knots out. I'm like, and never
Oh
mind,
no.
goodbye. Maybe I'll just grow my hair 6 feet long and dye it green. That'll be fine. It's thick
That's always
enough.
an option.
It
Yeah, right.
is. Might take a little while, but I can do it. Um, that, and if I was to ever, but one of my ideal characters to hopefully one day do a cosplay of is a character from One Piece, which is my number one favorite anime, and I would love to do Boa Hancock. I may not have her figure, but I do have her boobs, so I've got that part already figured out.
Well, it's great. That's good something to work with, right?
Exactly, exactly. Um, cosplay seems to get bigger every single year. I see more and more people participating in it. Where once upon a time, it seemed like it had a bit of a kind of gatekeeping situation going on, but now it's really open to all ages, all genders, people even doing like race swapping for characters because it's like, well, why?
Oh,
Just
sure.
because I'm black, I can't cosplay like a white person. Like I love seeing black women do Wonder Woman. Oh my god, they look so good.
Right. Beautiful. Oh
And
yeah.
and I do believe we now have in the comics, we do have a black Wonder Woman. I think she's Diana's sister. I
Right.
think it is.
Something like that. Yeah, I have to check on that. But
I
yeah,
did just see
it's
like
so
them.
cool.
Yeah, I did just see someone share the like preliminary comic book artwork going like the introduction were like, and here is our new. I'm like, oh my god, she's gorgeous. And I'm like, she needs a movie. She needs a movie right now. She appear in Wonder Woman 3? Like, and then she gets her own spin-off series.
Right.
Like, oh, I want it. But being that, it's not just it kind of seemed like it was originally people just doing like anime and manga, because I think, and please feel free to correct me, that I think it started mostly in Japan. Is that where cosplay really mostly started?
Yeah, right. That's the big hub of it all.
Yeah.
And a lot of, yeah.
And so now it's gone from mostly manga and anime to now it's film, it's television, it's cartoons, it's books, it's even games. Why do you
Mhm.
think it's gotten so huge and just keeps getting bigger?
I think because the conventions themselves, they have conventions for everything. They have different themes. They have them anime conventions, the manga conventions, but then they have their entertainment conventions where like the celebrities from the Marvel movies come, so you can do all those people,
Mm.
and then they have the like the Disney conventions. They have there's a convention for everything. And so it gives you options. Sometimes there's just all encompassing, sometimes they're more specific.
Mhm.
But you have options to do what you want to do, which is really great.
So you
I
think
almost
it's
went to a
it's
charm convention.
are we talking about England?
Yes. Oh yeah, the one that
Oh,
fell through, the one you were supposed to go to too. Oh,
ah, God.
that poor convention. So sad.
My bank account still hasn't recovered.
Oh gosh. I'm sorry.
That's that look, at the end of the day, I'm gonna call that what it was. It was a scam. It was 100% a scam. Back over to cosplay. Although I there are so many charm transformations I would also love to cosplay. Fingers
I have a
crossed I could
list
do
of
that
charm
one.
cosplay that I'm thinking about too. I have
Okay,
like
well,
six people,
what's at
six
the
things.
top of the list?
Okay. I don't have a particular order, but I have six in mind, so I'll list
Okay.
them off to you.
Okay.
So I have Evil Leo from It's a Bad, 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 Bad. I mean, four of them. Bad World.
Okay.
His little spiky hair. I have that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I have the Aggressor.
Okay.
um, I have Zanku.
Right. I'm seeing a lot of leather in your
I
future.
have You're right. Which I did have Gladiator Leo on there as well.
All right.
I have Billy Appleby on there,
Uh-huh. Oh, that's cute.
and then yes, and then I have Male Oracle.
Oh,
like the pajama pants with my
Raunchy.
nice little ball.
Yes, you with your
Is
ball.
there something else that I'm forgetting? Right. What did I say? I think there's one more. Maybe not. I forget. But there's somewhere.
Hey,
So some good ones.
those are some interesting choices. I like them. I like them a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Obviously, the one that sounds like the most work sounds like the aggressor, because it's like
Yeah.
that's a full on
Full. Yeah.
yeah, costume to find and put together.
Although
But
that
it
the
would be
gladiator, yeah, the gladiator toga might be really kind of detailed too. So yeah.
yeah. Somehow I think though that at least on account of like films like Gladiator and things
Sure.
like that, like you'd at
The stuff
least have
around that exists.
like a base to get that you could probably, structure to make it a little bit
True.
more closer to Leo. Whereas I feel like with Aggressor, you got to start from scratch. Yeah,
Yeah.
I oh god, I love the outfits for me costume wise that have always been my most beloved, and I wish to God I had them, is their 20s flapper dresses from Pardon My
I knew
Past.
you were gonna say that, right?
I adore them so much, and I was just like, which one do I want most? And I'm like, well, I
It's
love
so
Piper,
cool.
so I'm like, I love Piper, and black is definitely my color, so I'm like, I'm gonna go with that first, and then I'll
Okay.
go with the red,
And
and then I'll go with the blue, because I'm not such a fan of the green accents, but keeping in
Mhm.
style, I need to have all three of them.
Yeah. There's a friend of mine that actually did a cosplay of uh she did P Russell. She did the Pearl Russell. Um
He said
so
Pearl.
Yay! It's not Phoebe. Phoebe's Pearl. Phoebe Bowen. uh,
Exactly.
so yeah. you know.
I love a little bit of
But yeah,
charm
she
nerdness going on. Love it.
me too.
Yeah,
That's good.
I'd also love to do their goddess costumes, um their Valkyrie costumes. I don't have the figures for that one, but I'll bench press until I get there. Um their superhero costumes. I love those. Those are fun. And I'm sure there are a couple others. I also love the evil enchantress. Her costume is a lot of
Oh
fun
yeah.
too. I love those medieval type looks, so I love that she got one of those. Um and if anybody wants to cheat and do some cosplay, feel free to do Phoebe as Lady Godiva. I mean, that one's really easy.
You know, right. Beautiful blonde wig, you got your sold. Yeah. Maybe
Exactly.
get a little horse to ride.
Yeah. I wonder if that horse had any protests. It's like, there is a naked woman on me right now, and I
Yeah.
don't feel okay with this. Did the horse consent? But yeah, I would love to do any number of those things, and I think they're so much fun. So I look at other people who cosplay, and I feel very envious. But it if you've never done it, and you even just try to like look into like, hey, maybe I'll try it, and it takes 5 seconds for you to realize, oh, there's some work that goes into this. It's some money. Props to anyone and everyone who does cosplay. That's dedication, my friend.
Mhm. And the payoff is mostly emotional happiness. You don't get it's not very lucrative, so it's
Oh,
a lot of money spent for just like a beautiful day with friends and getting a lot of pictures taken. So it's kind of
true, except for the professional cosplayers who indeed
sure
get paid to do it, in which
paid
case,
to sure.
I mean, that's like the greatest job ever. You're paid to dress up as characters that you
I
love.
know, so jealous.
And I get the feeling that they get paid more than the Disney princesses at Disneyland.
Probably yeah yeah.
But um w- so one thing that I want to mention now, I have seen pictures of a young Kevin, and he looks virtually unrecognizable. You'd look at it and go, who is this person? I've never seen this person before. I mean, you were this adorable, skinny little guy. Well, not little. You were obviously still very
Yeah.
tall. But how did you go from that to bisexual Hulk Hogan? Like what happened?
I'm not really sure actually. No, I mean, I've been working out. I think I started working out in high school, about junior year of high school.
Mm-hmm,
And I would not go to the gym. I was just doing like stuff at home, just like
mm-hmm.
push-ups here and there, doing my crunches. I only started going to the gym maybe about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, so it's fairly recent. I was afraid of it for the longest time because I'm just like, I don't know these machines. I'm gonna look stupid. So it was kind of a scary thing, but I joined a gym, had a tour, had a trainer for a while, and that helped. Having just a trainer show me the machines and show me what kind of
Mhm.
exercises I can do. It really kind of put me at ease, and then I just felt comfortable enough to just go on my own. And I guess I just was consistent enough to keep progressing. And because when you go every day, you don't really see the changes until you look back. You're like, holy crap! Oh, wow! It was amazing to notice that. I was like, okay.
But what made you want to get started? Was it just you just wanted an outlet, or did you intentionally want to start bulking up?
Um,
Because
I
boy, did you.
think. Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of work. I think part of it was a lot of it was just like because as a kid, people always saw me as like the little wimpy kid. They always called me like kind of wimpy, and I was like, like no. So it's kind of like a little bit of that like childhood. I was never like really teased, but it's just kind of like I wanted to prove something to somebody.
Mhm.
So there's a little bit of that, and but then when I discovered that cosplay was a thing, I was like, ooh, I can start working out and then cosplay my characters that I want to do. So that became a huge motivator.
Mhm.
And then with the modeling in there too, I was like, okay, I can do stuff with the modeling, I can cosplay, and it just kind of became a whole encompassing like journey that worked out with everything tied into all the other things.
Do you think you'd ever stop, or has it just become such a fundamental part of you, like you couldn't stop even if you wanted to?
um, I can maybe take a break. uh,
What, like a
uh,
2-day break?
right. Yeah, I mean, I do like to have a little bit of balance in there because I would consider myself kind of a more than casual fitness connoisseur, but I wouldn't consider myself like a like obsessed bodybuilder person. Like I don't count calories. I don't I don't do my macros and micros. I just kind of uh play it by ear and do something to keep me going.
Mhm.
There is, I mean, working out does release the endorphins, so you do have like a sense of like happiness when you're doing after the pain, obviously. But there is there is kind of a feeling of accomplishment and feeling like yeah afterwards that is kind of nice and is addicting in
What
a sense.
are these endorphins and senses of accomplishment people keep talking about? I have never experienced these in my life. I've been on and off dieting all year between COVID, kidney stones,
Right.
and all that crap.
Gosh,
It kind of kept
what a
throwing.
year.
It's been a rough year. It kept throwing me off. But at the start of the year, I was actually on a program. I had a personal trainer. Um, and she gave me a diet that was specific to my body type. This was meant to be a 3-month program, and I was exercising, like hardcore exercising, like about half an hour, 5 days a week, doing the most strenuous exercises I've ever done, to the point where I'm in pain, I am red, I am sweating, and I'm like, beads of sweat are literally dropping off me. And I'm like, well, I must have done something. And I was sticking to this diet she gave me. I was so determined because I
Mm,
wanted to do well. Within 2 months, I had only lost about 4 kilos, so just under 10 pounds in 2 months. And I'm like, well, the rate that I am killing myself
mm,
here, I should see a difference. I didn't look like I was losing weight. I could feel that my muscles were definitely getting stronger and the exercises were getting easier. but the weight wasn't really going anywhere. And I got so disheartened and I pretty much gave
Mm.
up. Meanwhile, I'm back on light and easy. I'm currently on week 4. And in the first 3 weeks, I've lost 10 pounds. And I haven't done any exercising at all.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I wasted all that money on this trainer and all this,
Yeah.
lost no weight at all. And here I am, and I'm like, and I actually feel lighter, and my midsection's a little better. And I'm like, yahoo!
Wow.
There might be some resentment going on right now, but that's.
No.
No, but I admire the fact that obviously you've found something that works for you, and you also seem to enjoy it. So, and it's good that you don't feel that pressure to do it, because,
Yeah.
beauty standards of today are a bit shitty.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Being that you do
Um,
modeling, do you actually feel the pressure of those beauty standards?
there were times, mostly when I would notice my peers, I was like, oh, I don't look like that. Um, and there are times where you fall into those pitfalls where it's just like you do get into your head and you psychoanalyze a lot. Um, so yeah, it's definitely there, and you do kind of feel like a pressure to stay into that kind of fit into the fold and fit into what is perceived to be the best. Um, but then sometimes you have to take some steps back and just realize, I am me. I'm just trying to be better than I was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And if I manage to do that, I'm headed in the right direction. I'm doing good. Because everybody's built differently. Everybody has different body types and different kind of genetics that affect that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's definitely a amount of work to it too. But just be you and do you, and that always seems to make me feel a little bit better.
Are we going to have a Lacage I am what I am moment right now?
Right. Yes. Good stuff.
From the outside looking in, it does seem like you are very confident and proud of your body. I mean, that's at least what Instagram would suggest. Um, but do you sometimes have people like commenting or DMing you asking for tips on like how to get the Kevin physique or anything like that?
Yeah, I do get those, and a lot of times just like I don't even know what to say. I'm like I do what I do. I'm like I got some exercises I could give you, but like I'm like I'm not really sure what I do. I just kind of
Mhm.
like I wing it a lot of days. So I try to hit every muscle group throughout the week, and I
Mhm.
just try to work it to a spot that is challenging. I don't even know what I'm lifting half the time. Like I don't really know like my weight. I'm just like this feels good. um, so because the strength of it all doesn't. I mean, I'm not obsessed with like how much I can lift, how much. It's more about like
Right.
how I'm feeling as long as I'm making progress.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, I want to be able to control if I'm doing something that's challenging but still lets me feel in control. That's like the perfect way.
Mhm.
Uh, so and then yeah, I just kind of go and do my thing, and I'm very casual about it, even though it doesn't seem like it. But uh, it
What
seems to be doing the trick.
well, that is evident. That is evident. What adv- n- uh, now I know you obviously feel like, oh god, people see that, and you have a pretty decent following. So there would be a lot of people who probably, even without you realizing it, may look at your pictures and they're, I want to look like that. Whereas of course you're on the other side going, what? Me?
Right.
So
Right.
what advice would you give to someone who maybe is feeling very insecure and thinks like the only way that people might notice them or like them is to have your body type?
I would say that there is a beauty in every shape and size. You can own your sexy no matter what you look like. um, if See, I if working out is something that you think would help you feel better, that is perfectly fine, but do it for you and not for anybody else. Um, do you know figure out if it's something that is something that you would like and something that is beneficial to you, and just uh, focus on the little joys, the little progresses, and be happy with that. And you know, that's the best remedy, the best medicine. Yeah, because I've gone through moments where I'm very into my, people think you're perfectly confident, and have moments where I'm just like, I don't look great. I'm awful today. I'm ugly today. So you just have to step back and remember there's beauty in you no matter what you are, what state of mind you're in, instead of being your state of physicality you're in. So yeah.
That's some good advice. Do you think if your old self, the adorably skinny self, do you think that if he had the kind of confidence that you have now, do you think that he would pursue modeling looking as is without the, bulking up part? Do you think that he would be able to do that?
Probably, yeah. Um, yeah, if he had that same confidence, because there are a lot of beautiful skinny models out there, and I always found myself quite handsome. So even no matter what my body looked like,
You were
I'm like,
incredibly handsome and you still are today.
oh, thank you. So yeah, I think I would have had a huge impact if I had that confidence back then.
Yeah, because there is I was recently talking to them. I was reading something. I can't actually go into details for various reasons, but I was reading something, and it was there was someone who a character who was say more on the chubby side, and someone who was more on the athletic side. And when it got down to it, the athletic person was obviously very athletic. They were very fit, and the chubby person was very weak and slow and very unfit. And I kind of got a little miffed by those stereotypes, because there are people who look fit, but they didn't actually, unlike you, they didn't actually do anything to get there. That's just kind of naturally their body, but they don't
Mm.
actually have the physical strength that goes along with how fit they look. And there are a lot of people who, like myself, are on the plus side, but are actually very
Quite
physically
strong.
strong. Um, I can I go running around the block? No, I can't. But that's also because my breasts will kill me. Um, that is a fact of life. I'm sorry, anybody who
You
wants
know,
bigger breasts in life. I don't know what is wrong with you.
like
Seriously.
don't.
No. Hashtag no. Don't do it. Don't do it. Mm, But I have been fit my whole life. I mean, we've never had a man around the house. There's been my brother, but he moved out so long ago. So it's really only ever been me and my mom. And my mom loves to renovate and she'll do it on a whim. And there would be times it's like, I think I was like 11 at the time. And my mom's just like, while I'm gone, would you mind getting a hammer and just knocking out the door frame? I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, just go for it. I'm like, yes. I'm like, hammer time. And literally knocking out door frames, pulling up carpets. And we used to have a lot of large, we still do, but we also used to have a lot of large plants in the yard. Like I said, we still got plenty of them. I'll show you a picture. Um,
Hmm.
but many of them have also been yanked out. And my mother, as she gets older, she doesn't necessarily have the strength to do that. So she'll be like, I need you to help me pull out a stump. I'm like, okay, yeah, go. And it's just a pull and a push. And I'm like, yeah, I did that. That's my life. Pulling up stumps of giant trees. And then other people who probably look a lot skinnier and fitter than me, like, oh, like broken nail. Whereas I'm like, I took a
Right.
huge chunk out of my finger, but whatever, all in a day.
Here's my bloody stub. It's great. I'm great.
So there is that misconception where people think that just
Mhm.
because someone looks fit, they are fit, or someone looks unfit, that they're not. And that's just not the case, because as you said, everybody is different, and bodies metabolize different, and bodies have memories. as well. The number of people who are like, yeah, I lost this weight. I lost like, because you're American, I'm going to try and translate to pounds. So it's like somebody says, I lost 30 pounds. And then as soon as like they stop the fitness, they like keep eating healthy, but they kind of stop doing everything else. Their body of its own accord reverts back to the way it used to be, because it's like, nope, that's where I want to be. That's what I remember being, and that's what I'm going to be.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily somebody's fault. So I feel like because we live in a time where there's this ridiculous beauty standard with everybody, people think that if, for example, if you're a guy and you don't look like the Adonis that I'm currently talking to right now, that there's something wrong with you. And that's not true. And if you're a woman
Right.
who doesn't have a perfect cellulite-free hourglass figure or is a twig, then again, there's something wrong with people. Think that that's the norm, that we have to be that way. And and Hollywood obviously does not help. Just
Right.
not help at all. We watch these things and it's like, if something's plus size, put it in a comedy film and make a lot of fat jokes. It's like, no, we don't want to see them in a drama role. I'm like, well, maybe we do. Maybe we do. And the same goes for a lot of LGBTQ plus films that I watch. It's very rare that I see anybody who is plus size. Usually, if it's plus size, they'll happily let the lesbians be plus size and put them in flannel and in like combat boots or something. And the guys are all
All the pretty people.
yeah. They're
Like,
either incredibly
yeah.
skinny or they're all incredibly buff gym junkies. And I'm just like, it takes me back to the people who have who like use things like, whether it be Grindr or Tinder or anything like that, and you see that commonly a lot of gay people have in their profiles things like no fats, no femmes, no Asians, and I'm just like, really? Really?
Yeah. It's like, why do you feel the need to announce that? That's kind of like, no.
So I'm like, do you actually get dates with that? Or do people just looking like, nope, keep going.
Right.
Kevin here has complete permission to interject and smack me around and go, Ashley, can you just shut up right now?
I just enjoy everything you talk about is just super fascinating to me. So I'm just like, ooh, tell me more.
Well, thank you. I like that you think so, because I know, and anybody who's listening or watching to this episode can attest to this. I talk a lot, but that comes from the fact that in my day-to-day life, I don't talk to anybody. Like, I will talk to my mom, but even after a few minutes, she's just like, can you stop talking? And I'm just like, okay, I'll go back to my room, and then I only have myself to talk to. So once I get another human being to interact with, I can't shut up.
Sure.
I'm like, please just let me talk.
Right.
But
I have so many things I need to discuss. Yeah.
Well, exactly. I mean, and
Especially being a movie. Yeah, especially being a movie kind of girl, you're like, lots of things to talk about, lots of social, I mean, just it's good.
I don't know what gave you the impression that I am a movie person.
Oh,
Where did you get that idea from?
Like, I don't know. This is something I've seen somewhere.
But no, you're right. I am a movie person and it's why I started this podcast series, because it's about using cinema and also TV as well to kind of look at how it's these things that kind of bring us all together, things that we can connect with. And through that, we can kind of relate to each other more. Like, the reason why we even started following each other all was because of Charmed.
Right. And then I feel like I've learned so much more. We've gotten so much deeper than that, and it's been a wonderful journey just talking with you these years. And so I always love that, and I love that you can use movies to find these parallels and find something to analyze and bring into the social, world as a whole. Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that you as a guy kind of watch this show and you get it. There are things that you relate to. Why do you still love it all these years? Is it because there are things in it that you relate to, or is it just because it's just really fun?
Because I've always been close to my siblings. I think that was the main thing that kept me coming. I mean, plus my obsession with like magical stuff. I always liked things with powers and supernatural. That and mystical. I like the mystery of like the mystical thing. And Charmed had a lot like a weird dark mysteryness, but still light. It's a weird kind of balance because I like goofy lightheartedness, but
Mhm.
also like a weird kind of eerie vibe, and that's what Charmed had for me. But it was the whole sibling dynamic that really kept me coming back because I was always really close to my siblings, and I really like to see how they cared about each other and how their relationships panned out. And uh, it was something that always kind of stuck with me, I think, and that's what makes me love it to this day. So
So for you, it was
yeah,
the family bonds that you connected
hmm
with.
yeah, yeah.
See, charm for the people. I love it.
hmm
I love it so much.
hmm
I I I've never been that close with my siblings. We are not that tight. Um and obviously it's American, so there are so many things I do not relate to at all. But I think what I loved is because I love the idea that a family could be that close and connected, and like that was something like I wanted for myself and still very much one day hope to have my own family that is that tight. And so I was just like, I'm like, that's goals for me. But I think the first time that I related to Charmed on a personal level was in season 1 when they introduced Victor, and you see that they each had a different way of dealing with the fact that their father had left them and was not around. Prue dealt with hers with anger. Piper was kind of torn between the two. It's like, yeah, I feel you abandoned me, but I also I want to see my dad. And Phoebe doesn't really have any memories of being rejected, so she's very much like, I want to see daddy. And I kind of could relate to all three of those emotions because my dad left when I was 5 and I've never had a relationship with him. And I don't want a relationship with him, but I want a relationship with the person he could have and should have been. But I still remember the moment that always hit me, and it was that moment Prue says, "No one can hurt us as bad as you."
Yeah.
And that Shannon did a great job in that performance, because that, even as a child, hit me like a wrecking ball, because I'm like, oh, I feel that in my soul. I know this feeling. Yep. Because I still, to this day, I am still in therapy over my daddy issues. It still has. It has contributed to most of my anxiety in life, my fears of rejection, and why I'm not good with people. Despite this podcast, believe it, I'm not good. Not good with people at all, at all, at all. Um, so yeah, that one really hit me a lot. And while I don't like talking about Charmed very much, I do love hearing people like yourself tell me what it is that they connected to with that show, because it's, for pretty much every single one of them, it's an emotional reason. There's an emotional tie
Mhm.
to it. And that's the part that I love. It's not like everybody's like, yeah, I love the skimpy outfits, or I love just the magic. It's like, no, there was emotion there, and that is what everybody was drawn to.
Yeah. And I'm the oldest of 3 kids, but I also have a half sister. So there's 4 of us in my life. So it's like I see all these parallels. I'm like, oh, except in my case, my half sister is the oldest sister. But then there's the three of us with my dad. So I'm like, it's like, oh, okay. It's always kind of like, I always had fun. First I'm like, oh, I'm going to protect so I'm like the Prue. But then I realized more, I'm kind of probably more the Piper character because I idolized Prue so much.
Ah.
And so because I kind of put, and I feel like my older sister, the half sister, she's more like the Prue character, and I just kind of put her on a pedestal in a lot of ways. Um, and I realized that I won't ever be to that degree of strength, but I have my own kind of strength that I harness in a different way. So it's kind of it's just kind of fun. I don't know. It's good. And then I always see my younger siblings, and I'm gonna protect you guys. I love you. Yeah. So it's good. Yeah.
But no, I do love that, and I'm only moderately jealous. But I would like to end this by saying that it has been absolute delight having you join me for my podcast. It has been great getting to actually properly talk to you outside of messaging and get to know you better, which I've really enjoyed, because I have I have been very intimidated to message you on more than one occasion. So that's you've kind of fixed that a little bit now.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad because I'm just a big guy next door type of guy. So it's yeah, really
Yeah,
cool, really chill.
yeah, talking to you, you feel very inviting and welcoming, and that's definitely made me feel a lot more comfortable while talking to you, because otherwise I'm just like, I'm gonna make an ass of myself and he's gonna hate me and he's gonna block me and I'm just gonna go cry.
Yeah, I'm glad that we can be at ease.
That's the only thing that we can hope for. Now, if you are watching this on YouTube, you will have seen Kevin's socials on the screen. But for anything additional, you can go down into the description box and you can go and follow him on Instagram. You will find all his details down there. Down there. Or if you are listening to the podcast, you will also find a description of the episode where you will also find his social details so that you can check him out. You can see his Charmed collection, you can see his modeling work, you can see his cosplay work, and if you're lucky, you will see the occasional serenade of a wonderful theater song if you are lucky enough.
Oh, yeah, all the things.
But that is it for today's podcast. Thank you so much again
Thank
for
you. Yeah.
doing this. I can't thank you enough. That's why I keep saying thank you, because I'm very appreciative. And I hope everybody continues to do well and take care of themselves. Tough times have not yet ended. And if you celebrate Christmas, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. If you celebrate something else, then I hope that is wonderful to you too. And that you have a happy new year. And we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye, guys.